day is to each according to his faith. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. John, chapter 3, we read, "Everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God." It is a common experience shared by most people that when a person errs, he experiences a desire to hide that error from his conscience instead of holding it up for purification. Error clutches its misdeeds to itself and resists correction, though it is only in the state of purity that we can achieve perfect freedom. It requires an act of will to offer that awareness up to the light and to hold it there until one's inner darkness is completely dissipated. For every state of consciousness has its own attractive power. And the more we allow that attraction to act upon us, the more we attract to ourselves the objective circumstances and experiences natural to it. Our faith is the attractive power of our underlying state of consciousness. Goodness attracts goodness. It takes goodness even to see goodness. Evil attracts evil, and it takes evil even to see evil. That is, to take special note of its existence. Whatever there is in you of darkness or light, offer it up to the heights. In the supreme light alone we will find salvation. Accept nothing less in yourself as your lasting reality. As the Bhagavad Gita says in the 12th chapter, "Cling thou to me, clasp me with heart and mind, so shalt thou dwell surely with me on high. But if thy thought droops from such height, if thou beest weak to set body and soul upon me constantly, despair not, give me lower service. Seek to reach me, worshipping with steadfast will. And if thou canst not worship steadfastly, work for me. Toil in works pleasing to me. For he that laboureth right for love of me shall finally attain. But if in this thy faint heart fails, bring me thy failure." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. I have a beautiful story to tell you in relation to this topic, to each according to his faith. And it is the story of a very unlucky man, really very unlucky, because when he found work, and it was already difficult for him to find it, but when he found it, it happened that after a few months he was dismissed. But not only the company that hired him would fail, so this man really felt like bringing bad luck into this world. So this happened a few times. And then he became disciple of Yogananda. So in him, hope awoke, and he had the hope that things would go better. But no, this terrible karma would continue to repeat itself. And so he prays to Master and he says, Master, I'm desperate, because when I'm hired somewhere, then I'm fired. But not only am I fired, but also the company fails. But I need to work. I need to pay my rent. I need to eat. I don't know what to do anymore. And the Master says, okay, listen, go into this company and we'll see what happens. So he's full of hope. He is hired. He's happy. So a few months pass, and after a few months again, he's fired and the company fails. So he's really sad. Can you imagine how sad? Not even with the grace of Master, he thinks, am I lucky? So I'm really screwed. So he goes again to the Master and he says, again, Master, this happened again, even with your blessing. So what's wrong with me? You continue, the Master says. Have faith. Go back to that. Go to that company. Again, the man says, again to that company. But think about all the families who depend on that company. And that if the company fails, all these families will be without a job. And the Master says, don't think about that, just go. And so he goes for another time. And after a few months, again he's fired and the company fails. So again, he goes back to the Guru and he says, and the Master answers, you need to continue trying. And so this disciple goes again to another job interview. He is hired. So a few months pass and everything seems to go well. And even the company continues to go well. A year passes and still things are going well. So the disciple starts feeling light in his heart and he goes to the Master and says, Master, what's happening? Everything's going well this time. So will this continue? And Yogananda with a great smile says, look, you had a very heavy karma of failure, really heavy, but now it is finished, and from now on you will not have these problems anymore. And the disciple says, really, Master, this is wonderful. And then he says, okay, I had this karma of failure, but what about all the companies who from my wrong failed? And Yogananda said, no, that wasn't because of you. Also, they had the karma of failure and you attracted each other. So the man says, oh, phew, and all his senses of guilt would just go away. And so he would continue working and gain a lot of money, and then he fires himself and opens a business and has a happy and lucky life from then on. Yogananda says something really beautiful for us, to us. The capacity of that humans have to hope comes from God. And God inspires mankind to have hope. Even though the circumstances are really terrible, men have this spark of hope inside, and God says, don't worry, continue, have faith. Failure is not the last experience. There's so much more. I want to read something from Master to you. The greatest insult to the soul is the consciousness of failure. Instead, hope is eternal light on the dark path that the soul, incarnation after incarnation, needs to go through to come to God. So hope is a virtue given us from God, and it is different from human hope, which can be a bit superstitious. So let's cross our fingers, or let's hope this works. It's different from the hope given to us by God, because that is vibrant certainty that I will be helped, I will be sustained, the best for me will be given to me, that what I need in that situation will be given to me. So this man who went to Yogananda, he kept on going to Yogananda, even though he thought he had no hope anymore, no possibility. And what was the great gift of Yogananda? That he renewed in himself, in this man, the sense of hope, that he gave him courage to represent himself to another job interview. He gave him the strength to go through another experience, and then in the end he got out successfully. This true hope is not, let's hope this goes right, that goes right, but the hope is that there will be a better future, that I will have success in the things I do. And it's not so important what I'll do, but what I'll become through that experience and what I learned through that experience. And that sense is important, because the man had this characteristic to try and try over and over again. And that is the fruit of hope. So this man, yes, he had to live through that karma. And I don't know if Yogananda, his master, made it a bit lighter for him, but he had to live through it. Even if he had the blessings of the master, he had to live his karma. And the blessing was that he had hope in his heart to try over and over again to remain in that difficult situation until the karma was dissolved. And then he was free from it. And there is an affirmation from Swami Kriyananda that says, I leave behind me failure and successes. What I do now will create a new and better future filled with God's joy. I also want to read to you something else from Master. Don't turn off hope, because then you would just miserably hope on the path of darkness until you decide to reawake the light of hope and put yourself on the path towards God. Hope turns on the light of enthusiasm in Greek, entheos, in God. God is in me. And when God is within me, then I can do everything, anything. And that hope never gets weak. And that has to do with normal human circumstances, of course, but it also has to do with the search for God. We never should give up the search for God. It doesn't matter if we have failed, if we made mistakes. This is not the last experience, Yogananda says, and he will awaken in us this hope. And Yogananda also says, to kill hope and to be despondent is to put on a mask of limitation and to hide your divine identity of almightiness. Instead, hope for the highest and the best, for as a child of God, nothing is too good for you. Keep on hoping, move in that light until you travel through pathways of incarnations to your luminous home in God. We must keep hoping to know God until the last breath, because that's our highest goal, union with God, our highest victory, and all the other small human victories are only there for us to learn important lessons in life. And the hope is a virtue. Hope and faith are virtues given to us by God. Faith is having trust in God, trusting in God. Very simple. That's how we can get close to Him in every circumstance, even in very difficult ones. We know that He can help us because in God is the absolute power of love. And faith is the proof of invisible things. Even a small faith, Jesus says, so small, like a little mustard grain, can move mountains. It can manifest impossible things to humans, but they are not impossible to God. And Swamiji says in the lecture that faith is the law of attraction for everything. And in the light of that, we can understand this because the title is to each according to his faith. And I will finish with this thought by the Master from Whispers of Eternity. I wanted to weep with despair when I heard thy voice, Lord, whispering to me in my soul. The sun of my protection shines on thee always, equally on thy sunny days and on thy coal-black nocturnal hours. Thou shouldst always have faith in me and smile, for the greatest of all sins against me is not to be happy. Let the ripples of unceasing smiles play over thy face. Through their transparency, my light will come to thine assistance. By smiling with determined happiness, thou wilt always please me. Now we will listen to a song by Swami Kriyananda, sang by him. And it says, I call you from my heart, Lord. Come to me.
Dal mio cuore ti chiamo, Signore, quanti anni che piango per te, quanti anni che sogno vederti, o Signor, oggi vieni a me. Non lasciarmi più così solo qui, sono sempre tuo, verrai tu. Long I've called you my Lord, long I've called you. Many years I have longed for your sight. Bathe the darkness with tears of devotion, offered candles in prayer to your light. How much longer, friend, must I cry your name? I am yours, ever yours. Will you come? Dal mio cuore ti chiamo, Signore. Quanti anni che piango per te, quanti anni che sogno vederti, o Signor, oggi vieni a me. Non lasciarmi più così solo qui, sono sempre tu, verrai tu. you.